Hello everyone, this is Amber with Staying Crafty. I've got two pieces of acetate here, both measuring 4 inches by 4.5 inches. I actually just cut these from this packaging that Cricut cartridges come in, but you can buy clear plastic or cut it from another kind of package. I've got my Cuttlebug machine. I'm putting down my A plate, followed by one of my B plates, and then I'm going to take my embossing folder, which is the ice crystals folder with these pretty snowflakes, and I'm going to slip one of my pieces of acetate inside the folder. And I'm going to go ahead and set that down, and I'm going to put another B plate on top. This is just the standard setup of plates for embossing any piece of regular cardstock or paper, and it works just as well on this acetate. It's really a cool effect. So when I open up the folder, isn't that just so neat? I love it. So now I've got some score tape, which is just absolutely fabulous to work with. You can tear it with your hands, so you don't need to have scissors handy. And I went around all 4 sides first and removed the backing. And then I went back and did the corners again, just because I don't want any glitter to slip out. So I've got it really good and covered. Now really gently, I'm just going to put a little bit of chunky glitter inside. This is really cheap glitter from like a kid's craft kit. It's nothing fancy. And then I'm just going to gently lay my embossed piece over the top, because I don't want to move that glitter and have it get stuck in my adhesive. So this is the cool little pocket that I made that the glitter floats inside. Very cool. So I'm just using some removable adhesive to stick down piece of paper I'll be stamping on, and I'm going to be using some different inks. I've got Old Olive, Mellow Moss, and I've also got some Close to Cocoa. These are the colors I'll be working with today. And then I've got, this is just a scratch piece of paper, real low quality like computer paper. I'm sticking that down also. I'm going to be doing some masking. So I'm stamping onto that cheap paper, and the stamped image does not have to be clear or crisp at all. And I'm just cutting out the image that I stamped. Now I'm going right for the center of this paper at 4 inches. That's where I made my pencil mark, and I'm just using that as a guide to help me put this mask in the right spot. So at first I put it at the top there, and then I realized I probably didn't want it that high. So I grabbed the little trunk that is going to be getting stamped with the tree and decided I would only leave as much room as I needed to barely stamp the trunk. So I'm using the Mellow Moss first, which is the lighter of the two colors, and I'm going to be stamping a tree on either side of my mask. And these are beautiful, beautiful tree images from SP & Company. I really love them. I'm just using the same tree for all 3 in this case. So when I lift my mask up, you can see it didn't stamp where the mask was, and that leaves me the perfect spot to come in with my Old Olive ink and stamp the tree right where the mask was. And this gives a really cool effect of dimension and layer while keeping everything nice and flat and smooth, because sometimes you need or want that for a card. Now I'm coming in with the Close to Cocoa ink, and I'm sorry my head is in the way, but for certain things I have to line up really well. There's kind of no avoiding it. I just have to be able to see what I'm doing sometimes, and the video camera can't always pick up exactly what I'm doing, but you get the idea. Just stamping all 3 trunks. And this is what I came up with. You see how cool that looks with the masking. I'm very happy with it. Definitely feel like it gives an illusion of depth. So I've got these Jolie's Boutique embellishments. I'm going to be working with one in a second. So I erase my pencil mark, and I grab a silver embellishment. Just go ahead and stick that at the top of the tree in the center. And there are some stars in the stamp set, but I wanted to use this instead. Let's make it a little different. And now I'm just going to be doing some faux stitching with the Close to Cocoa marker all around this piece. Now this is my favorite paper trimmer in the whole world. I love it. And this is what I'm going to be using to be doing this technique. So we're going to be starting with a piece of paper that's 4 by 4.5. Okay, so on the short side, which is the one that measures 4 inches, we're going to cut from 1/4 inch down to 3 3/4. Now, there's that line in the center of the blade housing, and that shows me exactly where my blade is. So that's what I'm lining up with these numbers. You can see I cut inside the cardstock, but not all the way to the edges. And on the longer ends, I'm cutting from 1/4 inch to 4 1/4 inches. So I just do that real slow and carefully. Just take your time and just lift up. And I've got 2 sides done there. Okay, I'm creating a frame with a 1/4 inch border on all sides. So I'm going to be cutting those same measurements on the other 2 sides. I know it might look a little confusing, but if you just go slow and pay attention to what you're doing, you'll probably get the hang of it pretty quickly. So that's the frame I've created. Now I'm using my Scotch ATG gun to put adhesive all over it. And I actually kind of wish I had used score tape just because I was covering this whole piece, and so my fingers kept sticking all over it. And then I'm going to layer this over the acetate. It's just, wide enough that it'll perfectly cover my score tape and everything. Took me a couple tries to get it right, but I got it lined up there nicely. And the trees that I stamped are going on the inside of my card, and I'm just layering them on a decorative piece. So I've got my card cut at 5 inches by 11 inches. So I'll fold it in half on the 11-inch side. So it'll be a 5 inch by 5.5 inch card when it's folded. So it's an unusual size, but it's to accommodate, the window that I made and the trees that I stamped and such. So I'm cutting the size that the inside of the frame was, okay? That's just kind of what I was demonstrating there. So I'm going to be using the same basic technique to cut a window inside the card, and it's going to have a 3/4 inch border on all sides, and that's what I'm going to be using to get the correct size window. So on the 5-inch sides of the card, cut from 3/4 to 4 1/4. On the 5.5 inch side, cut from 3/4 to 4 3/4. Okay, so I switched to a darker brown for the card base. So same exact measurements, I just decided to change the color. So here I'm just lining up the inside of my card, which is my beautiful stamped trees. So I'm going to put those in before I add my window. Just felt like I could see better how they were going to sit in there without the window in my way. And now I'm just taking score tape, I'm adding it to my acetate glittered window here. Just adding it to the back. Remember, we have the frame on the other side. Okay, and then I'm just going to lay that right over the top in front of my card. Just want to take your time and do it carefully because that score tape is really sticky, so you probably won't get a second shot at it once you push it down. Okay, so you can see for the most part the card is done, and it's really pretty inside and out. You can see there's no adhesive or anything showing inside. It's very clean. So I'm taking the 1/4 inch setting on my corner chomper and doing just those 2 corners of the card. Now this is another card I made, okay, and it's the same technique with embossing acetate. I put confetti inside, but what I wanted to show you here is the front looks really nice and pretty, but I took a shortcut and didn't cut a frame or anything. So I just attached the acetate directly to the inside of the card. And if you're in a hurry or you just don't feel like trying that frame technique, you can do it that way too, and that's what it'll look like inside. So here is the finished card. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful and very crafty day.